This is US government and politics. A little note I want to say is I'll be going out of context. I'll be talking about certain periods at once, go through the entire US history, and then return back to the previous period. But let's get this started with. First off, today we're going to be talking about democracy. This is government and politics. US history will be a different series I'll be making. But government and politics will first, of course, have to talk about the foundations of America. The Americans, why is this pink? The Americans, which I will draw in blue, who went ahead and made an uprising against their father, Great Britain, for the unjust taxes that they did. Eventually, of course, America just ended the war by paying his dad back the money that he was owed him, and Britain just recognizing independence of America. Win-win, except lots and lots of casualties. And that is how the America we love and know today was born. Of course, as every new government knows, you need, well, a government. You can't run a country without a government. Once you've declared independence, you gotta do something about it. As a result, all the founders of America, with the big shot names of George Washington, John Adams, and I believe Thomas Jefferson was there too. He was the one who wrote the Declaration of Independence. Just all decided to get together and write the Constitution. The first draft was obviously written entirely by Mr. Thomas Jefferson, and everything else was ratified eventually. But they needed a way to go ahead and make sure this was a pretty perfect democracy as well too. Democracy itself is somewhat of a weird topic. It has different types of democracies. You have like an elitist democracy, and you have like a direct democracy. But these are the three types that they decided to use, and these are the three types that you will need to know on AP US Government and Politics. Note, I have never taken the AP US Government and Politics exam. First off, according to the textbook, it has participatory democracy. This is where like policy-making institutions are influenced by the citizens directly. This is all in the times like citizens go ahead and talk with each other, talk to their government, and like vote on specific issues. Like, for example, in a more recent time, like legalizing marijuana. Some states let their citizens choose whether they should legalize marijuana, and in California, it was an overwhelming majority of people. In fact, it's almost unanimous that people legalize marijuana. Then we have the pluralists. The pluralists. And these guys are the policy-making institutions that are influenced by non-governmental groups. This is more or less part of Congress, and it's like the lawmaking process that requires compromise. Mainly because, like, you know how Congress works nowadays. In fact, almost no one in Congress works together nowadays. At least from different parties. They go ahead and they have to compromise to at least make something happen. They gotta make something happen, otherwise, well, nothing happens at all. And this happens in like a wide range of those like competing interests. Like you can't agree on something, but you can agree on something. So you like, I'll let this happen if you let this happen. Got it? Alright. Those are the pluralists. Where the political parties that George Washington really hated went ahead and worked together. And then we have the elitists. This is more or less why the Electoral College exists. This is apparently policy-making institutions that are influenced by the wealthy and powerful people. This is more or less the Electoral College in voting for the president. The president himself, you go ahead, you vote for the president, you find out who the president is by like seeing that person's things, see how that person acts, and see how that person goes ahead and does stuff. This doesn't apply just to the president, so this also applies to the Congress elections that happen every 2 years to 7 years. For federal stuff though, like the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch, it's mainly the elitist branch when it comes to like voting for them. You vote for people to represent you to go ahead and go vote for the president. And because you don't vote for him yourself, you vote for someone who will represent you to go vote for the president. That's what he is. And yeah, they try to go ahead and include all these three parts of democracy, or these types of democracies, into their government. They literally made an entire constitution, which is 12 articles long, if I remember correctly. Alright, it has... Alright, I'm not an American citizen. It has 7 articles. Article 1 being the longest of it. It is composed of the preamble, 7 articles, and an additional 27 amendments that was added later, with the first 10 amendments that were added being known as the Bill of Rights. I'll explain more about this in a little bit. First of all, this is the famous Declaration of Independence. This is the famous saying that Thomas Jefferson himself made, and this is the exact paper that it is on. And Article 1 is the longest one. Like, there are several sections, at least 10. And they needed to ratify it to actually pass it. At the time, remember, there were only 13 states. They only required 2/3 of the states to ratify the Constitution to make it work. Only 2 states didn't vote for it. North Carolina and Rhode Island. All the rest ratified it. And it was passed into the declaration. It was passed. It was just passed. Of course, these states, like, there were still some states that didn't really exactly think that there was enough rights written into the Constitution. Like, while they were ratifying it, which is shown by this picture, very good picture, lots of wigs, they decided to add something. If my memory is correct, in the First Continental Congress, they proposed to add an additional Bill of Rights to, well, showcase the rights to add into the Constitution, because apparently they found out that they saw the Constitution and read it and didn't think that it didn't really go ahead and focus on human rights of American citizens much. And it kind of worked out pretty fine. There wasn't much else that we go ahead and can see about this, though. And after several ratifications and agreements from most of the states, we finally got an additional Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments towards the Constitution. Here is a handy list of the Bill of Rights, which was ratified on December 15th of 1791. Let me just explain to you one by one. Article 1 said that there shall be no law that can restrict your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion, your freedom of, like, doing whatever the hell you want, as long as it's constitutional, and your freedom of religion. Essentially, it's just the freedom of stuff. Freedom of press, freedom of reading stuff that the government might not like, but can't force you to not like. Freedom of speech, freedom of, say, doing something, protesting. Oh, yeah. The Ku Klux Klan really did go ahead and do the freedom of speech by burning crosses on people's lawns, but I'm pretty sure they went ahead and saw that as a intrusion of private property, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't their private property. In Article 2, it goes ahead and gives the people the right to bear arms. Because, well, George Washington didn't really trust the future government anymore, so he made sure that the U.S. citizens could create an army to overrule and overthrow the government if they realized that it wasn't in their best interests. And in Article 3, no soldier can be court-martialed without the consent of, like, the owner, wherever they are. Neither in wartime nor in peace. This will be overturned a few times during wartime. And in Article 4, the right of the person to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Apparently, this is just the searches, your warrants. Like, you can't be searched without a warrant, or you can't be searched without probable cause. But as we can see, making probable cause is a pretty hard thing to do, because this is subjective, not objective. And in Article 5, this is where your I plead the fifth comes in. This is where a person can stay silent. They can choose to stay silent. Like, I plead the fifth. You choose to stay silent. You're not allowed. You can choose. You're not required to answer questions. And, well, not lots of people really know about their own constitution, so policemen are required to state your rights. Such as, you have the right to remain silent, and you also have the right to speak up. Oh, and it even includes you cannot be killed, or you cannot have your property confiscated without due process of the law. The death penalty, I still think, should be illegal. No one has the right to kill someone else, even if that person has murdered several people and unalived them. Alright, Article 6 says that all criminal prosecutions, everyone should go through a fair trial. They have the right to enjoy a speedy and public trial, so that, not a private trial, so that the American public can choose in their thoughts about this public trial too. In fact, public trials are being televised more and more often, and people can just go to court and witness it too. Juries are selected from non-biased groups, but people are really biased in their minds. In Article 7, it says that, well, you are allowed to repeal towards you're allowed to repeal the decision of a lower court, and if the higher courts decide that this is worth taking, then you go ahead and take it. But if they don't, well, then game over for you. But as soon as you get to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, I do not consent, like the Supreme Court rules the same as the lower courts rule, well then it's seriously game over. There's no higher court than the Supreme Court. In Article 8, it's like, you are not allowed to have excessive bail or excessive fines. No cruel or unusual punishments. No torture, essentially. Article 9 goes ahead and says that, well, not lots of people really read the Constitution, so, like, whenever you're being arrested, you have to be notified of your own rights, and you are not allowed to be denied of your rights. And in Article 10, powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by the states are reserved to the states respectively. Like, if it's not written in the Constitution, but then that power is not given to the United States government. But if it's not prohibited by the states, then the states are allowed to use it, but it cannot be undone by the U.S. government, the U.S. federal government at least. And that's it. That's the Bill of Rights in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed my 11-minute video. You guys probably thought it was the most boring video ever. Like, this is like so 2005. I was born in 2011. But that's all I can say. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, Shihan out. Peace. Bye-bye. Peace out. Booyah!